the research on the training needs assessment for JJAs, it was found that one of the biggest challenges in dealing with children was the lack or inadequate collaboration and networking. Yes. And of course, the gap that was seen was the inadequacy of relevant skills and knowledge in the juvenile justice processes and procedures, in the administration of the system and case management. Why was this so important? Okay, before that, we already had this training ongoing, and every person who was handling a child was brought into the same classroom. The magistrate, the police officer, the officer from prisons, the probation officer, and the officer from children's services. Each of them was placed in the same classroom to learn the same things about how to handle children with regard to what happened in each of their organizations or agency, so that all these persons would actually come to the realization that they were all dealing with the same child, because experience had shown that a child who entered the justice system could sometimes be turned into 5 children. Why do I say this? They would be arrested by the police and treated in a certain way. They would end up in the judiciary and treated in a certain way. When they are meeting the probation officer, they'll be treated in a certain way. The children's services would treat them in a different way. And when they ended up in a Boston institution, they may end up being treated in a certain way. So the child, there was no collaborative way or knowledge in how to actually handle the child at every stage. So that project helped to do that. Now, JICA left in 2013, and the 5 agencies took over, the 5 GOK agencies took over the responsibility of financing this program. After that, 2 trainings took place in 2014 and 2016. And after that, there was no funding. It was not possible to fund for different challenges, not just the funding, but so much had changed in the organization of the training. And to date, we have over 200 officers drawn from the different juvenile justice agencies who completed the 3 modules of the training. Now, I would like to just say something about the way this training was taken through, the implementation cycle of this training. As we've seen, the first thing, the reason for this training was that we did not have the capacity, the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude, the proper attitude in handling children who came into the justice system. There was something lacking. So there was a need to inculcate both the theory, which is the knowledge of the law, the procedures, and all those things that go with each agency, and the actual practice on the ground, because it was noticed during the TNA time that there was a disconnect sometimes in that. And in implementing this cycle, there was the planning, the doing, and the seeing. That's the way it was seen. In the planning, there was preparing, training of the TOTs, setting the criteria for evaluation of those who are going to be trained, and supervision at the place of work, what we later came to call the OJT, or on-the-job training. So that was part of the planning. And you'll see that that was replicated in this particular review. Now, in doing, there was the pilot training of the CCPO officers. Then it involved residential training. People would go into residential training for 2 weeks, go out and do the practicum, and come out and go back and finalize the training. And while during the practicum or the practicals of what they had learned, there would be supervision. And these supervisors were the in charges of the persons where they were working, who had also been trained on what to look out for when supervising the trainees. Then the C part was evaluating the training and also revising the training materials and revising the guidelines of the supervisors. How now we have reached that stage where after we had finished the whole project, the GOK had taken over, we got the challenge of continuing this project. And to continue it, we needed to review the materials. Why did we need to review the materials? Because in the interim, after passing the Children's Act in 2001 and implementing it for that period of time, we got a new constitution, which constitution brought a big difference in the way in which we handle, in terms of raising the rights of the child right into the constitution and bringing changes into the law as we know it. We know that some sections were even declared unconstitutional, and there was need to align our constitution to the constitution. And there were also emerging issues. For example, the one that comes to mind quickly is the issue of the intersex child. Of course, we have issues of special needs children who find themselves in the justice system, either children in need of care and protection or children who are in conflict with the law. Issues that are coming to life, had come to life along the way and needed to be looked into. To do all this, to be able to review this law, then we had to get together and use what we had. But the beauty of it is this, that by the time we needed to review these materials, we already had the Special Task Force on Children Matters. And this task force had among its TORs, the main one being to review and report on the status of children in the administration of justice, but also to develop a policy on mandatory continuous professional development, on child rights for justice, for persons who are in the justice system, and also examine and review the training curricula on children. So at the time when what was called the NIT, or the National Implementation Team, that had been formed during the time of coming up with this, the CCPO curriculum, at the time there was that struggle on what should we do and where should we house this. The NCAJ already had this special task force. So at that time, when the NIT was looking out for help, again from JICA and UNAFE, the blessings had come that this program would get a home, and the home ended up being at the NCAJ. So the Special Task Force on Children Matters, as the NIT, with the support of JICA and UNAFE professors, we were able to review those training materials. Out of the dedication and cooperation between that task force, with representatives from now the police, probation, prosecution, who had not been part of the original team, prisons, Department of Children's Services, and now we have DCI, the flying squad, we call them the flying squad, Police for Children. With collaboration from all these people, this curriculum has been reviewed together with our counterparts from Japan, that is JICA and UNAFE. Why is it necessary to have a training for people who handle children matters? We have the Children's Act. Now we have the bill. Very elaborate law to take care of children who either end up in conflict with the law or in need of care and protection. If you recall, Section 73 of that law gave the Chief Justice the authority to appoint or gazette magistrates to preside over cases involving children in respect of any area of the country. At the beginning, that was done. The CJ would appoint specific magistrates from specific areas. I happen to be among that first group of people. And what happened is that we were just sent to, I think, a workshop for about a week or 3 days to go and implement the Act, grappling with breathing life into the Act through various innovations. And now we had also the other stakeholders also grappling to deal with the same thing. And that thing is still there, that we have a good law, but the knowledge of that law, the processes, the procedures, the need to do what is good, right for the child, that is the challenge that we face. And we know that even the international standards require us to have specific training for children who deal with, persons who deal with children. The reality is that children cases present problems that may not have legal solutions per se, but they still find themselves in the justice system. So there must be people who have the capacity to work with the best interest of the child, to identify the solutions, and to make the people responsible comply without jeopardizing the best interest of the child. So this curriculum, having been reviewed because I'm sure you have it. I didn't want to go through it maybe chapter by chapter, but we have it there, having been reviewed and having been used and having produced persons in this country. Out of the 200, I'm sure they have trained others who, when you go around this country, from northeastern to coast, from West Kenya to Eastern Province, Central Province, there are people who bear that title of CCPO, who do what is right for children, who reach out to one another when there's need to deal with the matter of a child, simply because they were able to be taken through this training. For optimum results, this curriculum requires that the prosecution counsel, the judicial officer, the police officer, the probation officer, the officer from DCI handling children matters, the children officer, and the prison officer who is at the Boston institution, the officer who is at KYCTC, the children officers handling in the rehabilitation institutions, to sit in the same class and learn together. When you look at that curriculum, you will see that it requires that. As much as people can train separately, train the children officer alone, train the other officer alone, the only and the best, the most ideal way is to have all these persons in the same classroom so that they can learn from one another, understand from the outset that they have one client who is the child and who has to be handled in a specific way using the same standards. Because it is the right of every child to be dealt with by an officer who has the requisite knowledge and skill and attitude, as we say in the task force also, and passion to do so without tiring. Every person sitting in this room and those of us watching, joining on Zoom are aware of that need. This curriculum has been worked upon by each one of us. It has been contributed to by each one of us. There's been a lot of work that has gone into it, and it is up to us now to bring it to life. So as we launch this curriculum today, I'm sure it is the plea of the task force, the plea of NIT, the plea of those who are CCPOs, that it will be launched and we will go back to the original implementation cycle and use it to be able to train officers to deal with our children in the right way, because they deserve that. Because, as I say, haki ya mtoto ni jukumu letu sote. That is the right of a child to justice. It requires the effort of each one of us. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Justice Matheka. I always say she's always a smiling judge, smiling not only literally, but also with knowledge and passion to defend our children in this particular country and those children who are visiting this country. So, tumpatie yetu ya kawaida. Kamoja! Photocopy, you don't close it. Photocopy, you don't close it. Photocopy? Don't close. Photocopy? Kamoja! Thank you so much. There's an African saying that says a friend is someone that shares the path with you and literally walks that path with you. The Task Force on Children has been quite lucky to have friends who work with the task force to ensure that the numerous documents, initiatives, and activities have actually been realized. Knowing that sometimes you can only reach so much with the 2 shillings that you have or the 3 people that you have as your personnel. And as such, you've had friends who have provided support in terms of personnel, in terms of finances, in terms of expert sharing, in terms of exchange learning and visits, and they have been quite instrumental. This has been courtesy also of friendship with the chairperson of this particular committee, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, who has been quite instrumental in ensuring that any partner who knows that works with children, please come and support this particular committee. And they've really had her and been able to work with this particular task force to the level it is, and we are hoping that they will still continue doing that. So I'll be calling upon those particular friends. Some of them are online, the others are going to join us physically. They are actually already here. And where I come from, if I start mentioning your second names, you might want to come and see the tourist attraction in our place. So if I call you by first name, just note that the second name is very difficult for me to pronounce. So I want to give this chance to Mr. Komori, the Chief Representative of JICA. You've heard JICA being mentioned enough times. JICA has walked this journey with us for many years, and we still appreciate that. JICA, kindly, Mr. Komori, the podium is yours.
Good afternoon. Habari Adifuri.
Sorry, sir.
So, Honorable Mr. Justice William Oko, President Court of Appeal, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Kuhlman, Chairperson, National Council on the Administration of Justice, Special Task Force on Children Matters, Honorable Mr. Kasurima Minoti, and all the heads of child justice agencies, all the representatives from the various development partners present today, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. On behalf of JICA, let me begin with my highest appreciation for the strong partnership and collaboration between the government of Japan and the Kenyan government towards children matters. We appreciate the continuous commitment of the various juvenile justice agencies to further deepen the formidable relationship between Kenya and Japan. In the period 2009 to 2013, JICA, in collaboration with Kenyan government, undertook a project in the child care sector, focusing on a collective action to children matters. This project addressed the inefficiencies by the juvenile justice agencies, which have been operating in silos in handling children matters, especially for children in conflict with the law or those in need of care and protection. One output of the project was the development of facilitators, training manuals, and a curriculum, which would be used in training officers within the government agencies on handling children matters. The manuals have been in use to date, but it was heavily felt that many new issues have emerged within the juvenile justice system, which needed to be captured in the manuals. In response to this, JICA offered to support the revision of these important documents to further support the juvenile justice system in Kenya become more effective and efficient in dispensing children matters. I am very glad to say that the revision process, which was an immense effort from the various juvenile justice agencies, has borne tangible fruits in the form of the document that we want to launch today. I want to sincerely thank all the persons who were involved in the revision process for their great zeal and commitment. This great achievement would not have been possible without them. As we launch the Child Care Protection Officers Facilitators Training Manual and Curriculum, it is my hope that these documents will further equip all the persons handling children matters with more profound knowledge and skills to dispense their duties even better. Let us remember that we have a duty to promote and uphold the rights of the children because it is their right and not a privilege to live a dignified life. I also wish to call upon other development partners and the stakeholders to support the ongoing efforts by the Kenyan government to respond to the myriad issues affecting our children, especially in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, which has further generated new issues and amplified the already existing ones. As JICA, we will remain committed to this call. To conclude my remarks, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation once again to the various juvenile justice agencies and the Kenyan government at large for continuous cooperation with JICA and the government of Japan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Komori. I hope next time we'll be able to get your second name right. And thank you so much to JICA for the support that has continued to have for this particular country. Now, the second person we're going to have, a friend of this task force and this country, is going to join us online. She is the country director for International Development Law Organization, IDLO, and that is Madam Teresa Muganza. Please allow her online. I think she has been waiting. You're welcome, Madam Teresa. The floor is yours, and so is the screen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moderator. Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me because my... Sorry.
We can hear you perfectly and we can see you perfectly.
Thank you very much. The Honorable President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Mr. William Ouko, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, Chairperson, National Special Task Force on Children Matters, the Honorable Mr. Katharima Mutinoti from the Judiciary Training Institute, Mr. Komori Katsutoshi, Chief Representative of JICA, Ms. Monica Nyland, Chief Child Protection, UNICEF, Mr. Meka Patterson, Legal Advisor, U.S. State Department, Department of Justice, invited delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to join you this afternoon, albeit virtually. I had competing commitments, but I'm very honored to be able to join the juvenile justice actors this afternoon to launch the policy documents that are instrumental in enhancing access to justice for children, and in particular, for us as IDLO, focusing on children in conflict with the law. IDLO works to build confidence in the justice sector by supporting legal and institutional reforms and promoting good governance. We work to enhance access to justice by enabling governments to uphold human rights and empowering people to claim them. We also facilitate innovative legal approaches to support sustainable development and economic opportunities. IDLO has been privileged to partner with international and local institutions to support initiatives aimed at legal and policy reforms to protect and promote children's rights. IDLO has been working with the Special Task Force on Children Matters, line ministries, the Judiciary, Office of the Attorney General, among others, focusing on legal and policy reform to facilitate access to justice for children. We also have looked at capacity building of justice sector actors, strengthening linkages across the justice chain for both informal and formal justice systems. In our partnership with the task force, we continue to support efforts towards enhanced case clearance rates through service weeks, development and implementation of policy documents, capacity support of members, and overall juvenile justice actors initiatives. Important to us is assessing the institutional capacity of all actors to coordinate and offer seamless justice for children and how the entire system can be friendly to its users. We are committed to continue our partnership with the task force. And at this juncture, I would like to congratulate the task force members for their dedication and commitment to service to address gaps and challenges facing children in the justice system. I think the previous speaker raised very important issues around how lack of resources has been a key issue. And what we see is commitment and dedication in spite of the resource constraints. For IDLO, the support and implementation of the Diversion Toolkit for children practitioners, the standard operating procedures on child protection units, as well as the court practice direction for children's courts, and the policy on the mandatory continuous professional development program for child protection officers are important because they will improve the quality, access, and availability of services to children within the justice system as they interact with the various justice actors. It is our hope that this policy framework will also promote multi-agency and multidisciplinary working among the child justice agencies. Our appreciation goes to other development partners like JICA, who have spoken already before me, partners like UNICEF, and of course USAID, who have partnered with the task force at different stages and different levels to strengthen the task force mandate. We appreciate the work that has been done by partners other than ourselves and recognize that we are, as the Honorable Lady Justice said earlier, this is a commitment for all of us, and it is work that we must all do jointly together. So we really appreciate the opportunity to partner with other like-minded organizations to see an improved environment for access to justice for children. I thank you for the opportunity to address you. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Teresa. You can have a level of appreciation from the team here. Thank you so much. Next in line, we're going to have the representative, actually the Chief Child Protection Officer for UNICEF, Ms. Monica Sadvik. I hope I got the Sadvik right. I'm becoming Finnish too.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Okay. Honorable Justice Oko, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Kome, Chair of the NCAJ Task Force, Honorable Justice Minotti from JTI, dear development partners, colleagues, and allies in ensuring protection and justice for children in Kenya. Across the world, millions of children are interacting with the justice system every year. They are victims, they're witnesses, or they are accused of having broken the law. How this experience is likely to leave traces in children. It can be an experience that is healing, restorative, or it can be an experience that is deeply traumatizing. In Kenya, we have a lot of good legal frameworks and policy frameworks, which is important. We are looking forward to the adoption of the Children's Bill this year. I'm being optimistic. But it all hinges on the human factor in the justice system. How the children are dealt with, handled, addressed by police, prosecutors, lawyers, judges, and children's officers. I think that, therefore, this training program that is being launched today is so important. And all the other material that has been developed by the task force, the practice direction for proceedings in children's courts, the diversion toolkit, the standard operating procedures for child protection units are so important. Justice for children is just one part also of what we talk about as the broader child protection system in Kenya, the system that is set there to protect children. And I'm glad that what is reflected in the training program is really this broader system. We are not looking at justice as something separate. It really brings together all the components. So a training program like this falls for UNICEF under what we call workforce strengthening. For UNICEF, we are also working on together with the Kenya School of Government and the Department for Children's Services on a 10-day training for children's officers, which will eventually also become an accreditation for somebody working in the children's sector in Kenya. This training program that is more focusing on the justice aspect is a very good complement to that training program. We're also working on care reform, which is looking at promoting family-based care for children. It's about moving away from institutionalization of children as a default mechanism. And it also touches upon the justice sector. So children in need of care and protection, how can they actually be taken care of, supported through family-based care rather than placed in institutions? One area of work that we would like to will take forward together with the NCAJ Special Task Force is the development of a multi-year strategy for justice for children in Kenya. I think this will be an important complement because it would really help the government to set the priorities for the justice sector for children, which will then also help us as development partners to know where we should invest. What are the government's priorities? So we look very much forward to that piece of work. One of our other priority areas is really to try to address issues around child online protection, and that cuts across the justice sector and also the child protection sector. And I'm glad that that's also reflected in the documents we have before us. So very pleased to be here. You can continue to count on UNICEF as an ally in this work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kamoja, photocopy. Nice. Thank you so much. Now, I wish also to recognize another good friend of the task force who is with us here. That is the Deputy High Commissioner for the British High Commission, Madam Josephine. We recognize the presence and appreciate the partnership that we've had as a nation and also as a task force. Among us friends, we've got so many friends, but in the interest of time, we're going to have one more friend to the task force. That is the legal advisor, the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, Madam Tomika Patterson, who has also been very useful to this particular process. I know a number of times she has been advised by her embassy not to go to certain places, and should cry out and say, if there are people there, why can't I go there? I'm also a human person. So Madam Tomika, please.
The Honorable Justice William Oko, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Kome, Chair of the National Council and Administration of Justice's Special Task Force on Children's Matters, the Honorable Justice Katharima Imanote from JTI, representatives from the various child justice agencies, fellow development partners present today, everyone here in attendance, Hamjambo. It is so great to be here. As Linton said, we are limited in places we can go, but this launch today is important to the Department of Justice because we have had the privilege of working with so many of you in this room, and in particular with Lady Justice Kome and her task force for so many years. The U.S. Department of Justice has been here in Kenya for over 10 years now. And for over half of that time, we have devoted a lot of support to the task force because it is critically important that we enhance access to justice for children. Because as we all know, the children are the future, not of just Kenya, but for the entire world. And it's so important that we develop tools, opportunities to give children a second chance when they have done something wrong to get them into the justice system, or find a way to help a child who has been a victim of a crime know that they can be resilient, that they can bounce back, and that every member of the justice system is going to be there to help them become that fruitful adult that we all hope and pray that they will be. So over these years, we've supported the task force in so many different ways, whether it's service weeks or capacity building. And I recall being at the launch of the final report and thinking, wow, job well done. But Lady Justice Comey made sure everybody understood the work was not done. There was still more work to be done. And today is a culmination of that continued work. And I will tell you that getting the calls to come in and help advise on the Diversion Toolkit, on their standard operating procedures for child protection units, for the practice directions relating to proceedings in children's court, there was no doubt that we would be there and we would be available. But something unexpected happened, and it happened to all of us around the world, and that was COVID. And COVID made it difficult for us to get together, to see each other, to do the hard work that we often do inside of conference rooms and boardrooms. But I want to just acknowledge the incredible work of the task force, because they took COVID as a way of recognizing that it's even more important that we focus on our kids. Because COVID unfortunately shined an unbelievable light on what we weren't ready to really recognize. That without education, our children are left often to their own devices and often are the victims of crime. And that's what we've seen, not just here in Kenya, we've seen this all over the world. Children have been victims of crime because of COVID. They have been put into positions of committing crime because of COVID. This task force said, we need to do something about this. And we need to get to work so that we can get the rest of these child protection documents out so that we can ensure we are protecting our children, even in the midst of a pandemic. And I will tell you that they worked diligently, making sure that they had brought together all the members of the task force and all of the various development partners to come on board to get the work done. And they embraced even the development partners who were continents away and oceans away. And I recognized that it was so important to be on these calls that I was on them at 3 o'clock in the morning, because if they're dedicated, DOJ is going to be dedicated along with them. We're extremely, extremely excited about today's launch, and we hope to continue to support the work of enhancing access to justice for children. We're excited to partner with UNICEF in supporting trainings for the Department of Children's Services, not just with their headquarters and their supervisors, but we're going to be pushing down a 5 or 6 week program with them all the way to the field. So every children's officer knows about the use of plea agreements, diversion, bail and bond, active case management, and also focused on child exploitation. So we are committed to continuing this work along with each of you. And again, congratulations to the task force, and thank you so much for being invited to speak to you today.
Thank you, Tomika. Kamoja, photocopy. Thank you. We recognize the presence of the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, Honorable Simon, karibu sana, and we thank for your finding time. Now, next on the program, we are going to have two great people coming to speak to us, Africans who love stories. So they're going to speak to us. Members of the media, kindly, if you notice that your mic cannot work the way you would want to and you want to adjust, kindly assist us doing that. And as I call upon these two great gentlemen, I would ask you to please stand up and clap the freedom clap as they come until they get where I am. So at this point, I want to call two boys from Kabete Group of Schools. I repeat, Kabete Group of Schools. You'll later on ask me where it is. Mr. Mustafa Abel and Emmanuel Ochieng. Where are they? Where are they? Yes, Mustafa and Abel. Please, it's my minute.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel, and here is my friend Amba Mustafa. And we're ready to talk about the National Council of Administration of Justice. The Children's Act 2001 and Article 53 of the Constitution of Kenya makes provision for protection of all children. Children in Kenya children in conflict with the law and child victims of abuse. The question therefore remains, why do children experience violations, especially in the justice system? This is because a lot of the laws lack an implementation mechanism. One of the key principles in the child rights in the best interest of the child. The Constitution terms it as a paramount principle. Children around Kenya, mostly half of them, they are passing through many challenges as usual. One of them is at the police stations, where we have the police cells. Some of the boy children, they have been mixed by the women, especially expectant mothers. Some of them have been implemented or abused, or even given work to do without any money to be paid. And if you are in a police post, some of us we have never get to meet some of our basic needs. So I just have to keep up saying this. Some of us have more challenges than usual, but some of the officers, they don't know. Some mothers in the jails came if they are drunk. And if you are a child, you get so annoyed to meet somebody like that. Why don't we make Kenya a change? As I think so much, I think it's time to give Kenya a chance to turn it back to where it became from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is powerful. That's a big challenge to all of us here, and especially when I was speaking that way, I'm looking at the men in blue, the police, the judges, the magistrates, the probation officers, the children officers. All of us have a role. And remember, the best interest of the child is the overarching principle. They're just asking, what is the best interest for me? What do we need to be done? And they're telling us to go back where we came from. Remember our culture, the child was everybody's child. We needed to protect the child by any way possible. So, and I think the challenge has been sent home. You've heard the story. So even as you live here today, even for our development partners, please ask yourself, how do I continue contributing in ensuring that this particular child does not continue crying every other day? Thank you so much. Now we're going to the second last phase of our program, where we're going to have 3 people speak. We're going to be joined by agencies that work closely with children. And the first agency to be called upon is the National Police Service. And it's good that Mustafa and Emmanuel had to speak before the police speak. And is being represented by Mr. Farah Mohammed, who is a commissioner of police. Karibu sana.
the President of Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice William Ouko, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, Chairperson of the Task Force on Children Matters, and the Honorable Julius Kaburema Mituainoti, Director at Judicial Training, all the persons who deal with children matters. I forgot to mention the Cabinet Secretary. I'm sorry, sir, you are here. Also recognize you. My name is Mohamed Farah. I'm from Kenya Police Headquarters, Vigilance. I'm the Deputy Director of Reforms Police. We have heard what these children said. Maybe I'll come to address it later, but I want to give my remarks before that. Police reforms are an entry of children into the juvenile justice system. The National Police Service is ready to adopt all these documents that are going to be developed today through the cooperation of various agencies that handle children matters. These documents will help us improve the quality of services and promote linkage with other child justice agencies. The National Police Service has a whole chapter, that is chapter 46 of the standing orders that we did not have there before, but now which guides police officers in the best way they can handle children matters through the system while protecting their rights. Not forgetting Article 53 of the Constitution, which also recognizes children as a very important segment in the country, and therefore the kind of service they receive determines the conduct of future population. Kenya Police Service has established over 40 protection units countrywide through the support of various stakeholders that look into the matters of children in contact with the police. There's also a gender and children desk in every police station in Kenya that do not have the CPUs. The National Police Service welcomes any suggestions, views, and support that will enable to improve on the quality of services offered to this young generation that forms the future of this country. And we also promise to continue improving the training of officers in dealing with the juvenile justice. The two boys who were here said about, they were talking about children in cells. These are challenges that we are going to experience. We also continue to experience, but will be addressed through our SOPs, that is the standing operating procedures that are going to be developed today. And even before that, we used to have, though we know that these challenges that are overcoming day by day. So we promise that we are going to deal with this kind of, because it's a challenge, it's a national challenge. It's not only police that have the challenges, other agencies have also their own challenges. But we promise to be improving on our services, that as they come, we'll endeavor to improve on those challenges. So by that, I want to now say that with this chapter that has been dedicated to guidance of police officers and the way they handle children, which is our standing orders now, is going to be of great need to all of us and the children, and any other challenges that will be overcome, so that we improve on what we do daily. So with that, we say, we want to promise we're going to improve on our services dealing with juvenile justice, because that is the only way we can overcome this kind of challenges. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Farah. We appreciate and the commitment by the police to continue supporting the work that is going on. Now we have a representative from the Department of Children's Services. He's the director in the department, and his name is Maurice Suma. Kindly, the floor is yours. And a quick check. Protect me, I protect you. I notice there are some people who have started loosening the rules. Please put on your mask or put it to the chin. If you feel you need some fresh oxygen, please walk out, get up, be alone, grab in. I know the mask cannot be easy to stay with it on. So that will protect myself. Thank you. Suma?
Thank you. The Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Labor and Social Protection, Honorable Simon Chelugui, the President, Court of Appeal, Mr. Justice William Ouko, the Chairperson, NCAJ, Task Force on Children Matters, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, the Director, Judiciary Training Institute, Honorable Justice Katurima Inoti. I hope I've done justice to the second name. The Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commission, Madam Josephine, the Country Director, International Development Law Organization, Madam Teresa, the Chief, Child Protection, UNICEF, Madam Monica, Chief Representative, JICA, Mr. Komori, the Legal Advisor, U.S. Department of Justice, Madam Tomika, colleagues from government departments, our partners, our children. Good afternoon. My name is Maurice Suma, Director in charge of Child Protection in the Department of Children's Services. I'm standing in for my colleague and senior, Mr. Noah Sangani, Director Children's Services, who is unwell, but he has requested me to deliver his remarks as they are. Children in need of care and protection and children in conflict with the law need to be handled with care. They require a seamless system, proper rehabilitation, and reintegration. Thus, the need for quality service delivery. A training needs assessment carried out before the development of the CCPO program revealed that the juvenile justice agencies worked in isolation. There was limited information sharing, unreliable data, and the poor referral pathways. The officers lacked adequate skills and the capacity to handle children. They were poorly motivated and had negative attitudes towards their work. Despite the numerous legislations, including a very robust constitution that speaks on matters children protection, policies and guidelines that have continuously been developed by child protection actors, the system actors, the juvenile system actors have over the time realized that matters of child protection cannot be adequately addressed by one agency. Hence, the multi-agency approach to child protection. The development of CCPO program with the support of JICA, we were involved very much in the development, was the turning point. During the various trainings conducted, officers were able to understand their roles. Further, officers were exposed to the various laws, policies, and guidelines touching on children, including rehabilitation, treatment, case management, and aftercare processes the children in the juvenile system underwent, and the ethics and professionalism expected from case workers. The trainings were offered, the trainings offered to the officers offered a platform to share their experiences and also address gaps that were hindering service delivery. My department, with the support of U.S. Embassy, Tomika, organized a training for us, and also with the support from UNICEF, we were able to train our children officers on plea bargaining, diversion, bail and bond, and active case management. The objective of the training was to reduce the backlog of children's cases in court and also decongest our institutions. Our CS, the positive impact of these trainings were evidenced in the officers. They were able to work cohesively and further process children in a seamless manner without necessarily delaying processes, thus improving service delivery. The trainings were also able to break the barriers between justice system agencies. We could work in isolation. I'm a children's officer, so I don't want to know what the other agency is doing, but now we are able to work in a very cohesive manner. Over 300 officers benefited out of those trainings. Despite the program having stalled because of lack of funding, work continued. In 2013, with the support of other partners, we developed through care guidelines. And many officers were trained on these guidelines. So the coordination of the CCPO program has experienced challenges and especially funding. That's why the justice system agencies handed over the program to NCAJ under the able leadership of Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome. The review of the curriculum is indeed a great milestone as it captures emerging issues which will address some of the challenges. I'm happy with the review, and it has attracted more partners. Thank you so much. Thank you. Those are the remarks from my senior, Mr. Sangani, but Mr. Cabinet Secretary, I feel challenged by those two great men. Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana. Pamoja kwake. Photocopy. Nice. Hey. Okay, great. And thank you so much for giving us that journey that this kind of partnership has worked for many years. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome the representative of Kenya Prison Service, Madam Florence Omondi, who is the Deputy Commissioner General to speak on behalf of the Kenya Prison Service. Karibu sana, Madam. And as she walks towards the podium, you must recognize that she's the first ever substantive Deputy Commissioner General of Prisons in this country as a lady. Tunashangilia wamama, asante sana.
Thank you very much, Benson, the President of the Court of Appeal, the Honorable Justice William Oko, the Chairperson of the NCAJ, Justice Martha Koome, our CS Labor, Honorable Simon Chilugui, our development partners, colleagues from government, ladies and gentlemen, God is good and all the time. Thank you very much. This is a great day for us, especially those of us who have been members of the Special Task Force on Children. We've come a very long way. As Justice Matheka gave the history of the journey that we've traveled, I'm sure that some of us were almost breaking into tears. Why? Because you have had the testimony of those great men that it has not been easy, and it's not even easy now. The best interest of the child is paramount. You lose a child, you lose a generation, you lose the whole world. That is why this is a great day for us. When we see our development partners, when we see all of us who are very passionate about matters children, we just say, yes, something good has happened. But at least now we have a document that we can all turn to, that gives us an opportunity to seamlessly handle matters children. The Kenya Prison Service in the Ministry of Interior backstops the security of the nation. This is mwisho wa lori, yani the end. When you've handled children, the last part, when you've handled anybody that you really do not want, the place that you want them to go to is prisons. And it is interesting that even our children end up in prisons. The Kenya Prison Service has 3 categories of children. That is the youthful offenders aged between 15 and 18 years who are in our Boston institutions. And we have 3 Boston institutions in the country. 1 for girls, thanks to the task force, because the pressure that was put by the task force also led to the establishment of an institution for girls, maybe the second one in Africa. And we have 2 for boys. Then we have 1 youth corrective training center for boys aged 17 and 21 years who only stay with us for 4 months. Within those 4 months, they should have been shaken strong enough to put them back on track, then send them back home. And then we have little children, the babies, who are accompanying their mothers into prison. These are children between 0 and 4 years of age. They will be born in prison if the mothers came expecting. It's interesting that with this category, sometimes they will not be noticed because they will be in the mother. So the mother is a very important component here, but the child suffers in the process because it's born into a foreign environment. I would appeal to the judicial sometimes to be vigilant so that they watch whether the mother could be having another human being as they pass the sentence. Sometimes you give us only 1 woman and she gives birth to 3 more. And you wake up in the morning and you have 3 more people that you must take care of. And you didn't have a budget for this. So I would make an appeal that sometimes when we get back and we want this court order so that the woman serves maybe a sentence from home, that it falls on that heart that was with us in this room today. And we have challenges as we deal with this category of people because 1, they are young and they are locked up, and we put them through programs The youth will be put through formal education, vocational training, recreational activities. They will be taken through therapy, and we will work with them until they will go back home. Those who are in formal education will stay for the duration of their sentence, and then they will be referred. They will be handed over to the children's service, who handle the probation service, who handle the aftercare. And some of them have done it very well. Then the ones who go through vocational training will also go through our integration program, and then it will be ensured that they settle back home safely. And my appeal would be that when they come back home or they're in school, let's not discriminate them. And finally, I want to appreciate the judiciary in a special way, because during COVID-19, the judicial process was very useful, because then the children would be handled from where they were. That also includes all the other people that we have in our penal institutions. Their cases would be heard, they would be further remanded from home, and this cut down on the cost. So much as COVID-19 pandemic has had its challenges, it has also had its benefits, because now we can do our cases from home, and we do not have to trouble you with the sirens on the roads. And I think this is a good thing, and I wish that it will continue. Judge, I hope that you will allow us to continue with that, even after we normalize globally. And then some of the challenges we have are that when you have young people at that youthful age, they are very, very active. And it requires that the officers handling them go through extra training, thanks to the CCPO program, thanks to our partners, UNICEF, others who have also helped us to train our officers. We now have officers who are trained in handling children. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. And I will welcome that those of you around can also come and visit us in the prisons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Florence. And probably you needed to clarify how you want them to come and visit the prisons. Will they be doing their last mile, or will they be guests? I believe as good friends. Thank you so much. Now, at this juncture, I wish to say that was my time. It was Honorable Justice Kathrima, who is a judge of Court of Appeal, but also the Director of Judicial Training Institute, where he'll be speaking more about what JTI is doing. But after that, also, Judge, I kindly request you take over the session and take the moderation to the last level. At the launch level, you'll be assisted by Madam Anne during the launch. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Renson. Good afternoon. We are the President of the Court of Appeal, the Honorable Mr. Justice William Ouko, who is also representing the Honorable, the Acting Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, the Justice Philomena Mwilu, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, Honorable Mr. Simon Cherugei, the Chairperson of the National Special Task Force on Children Matters, the Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, our committed and very, very supportive development partners, and very quickly I will recognize Mr. Kamori Katsutoshi, Teresa Muganza, Monica Sandvik Newland, Tomika Patterson, Josephine Gold, representatives of government agencies, Mr. Farah Mohammed, National Police Service, Mr. Morris Suma, Department of Children's Services, Ms. Florence Omondi, Kenya Prison Services, partners and stakeholders in matters protection of children. Good afternoon. Let me again join all the previous speakers in very sincerely thanking the NCAJ Special Task Force on Children Matters for this major milestone. I think the materials we launched this afternoon are testimony to your passion and commitment to working towards assisting some of the weakest, the most vulnerable members of our society. As young Mustafa who spoke here said, he made a very fundamental truth, that the challenge is not just mere enacting laws. We may enact all these treaties, we may write beautiful constitutions, we may write good legislation like the Children's Act, but then unless and until we implement these laws, they remain just what they are, just dead letter. And I think what the task force has done today is a big step forward in terms of assisting to implement the promises of international treaties, the promises of our constitution, the promises of our laws as pertains to protection of our children. And I think the greatest challenge that all of us now face moving forward is to make sure that we take advantage of these materials and ensure that these promises are realized. I would hand also that this occasion is very, very special to us, particularly for people at the Judiciary Training Institute. One of our officers, Honorable Dr. Alice Macharia, she managed to do doctoral studies in the UK, and as part of her coursework, she did really what in my view is groundbreaking research, trying to unravel this paradox. Situation where all the laws, all the principles we are talking about, talk about the best interest of the child. How do you guarantee the best interest of a child in a situation where this child is dependent on another person, the mother who is in serious conflict with the law? When the rights of the mother are curtailed, straight away the rights of the child are affected. And she has done very wonderful work around that issue, trying to assist particularly judicial officers to understand how to go about this issue. And therefore, Dr. Macharia, congratulations. I think the task force, she's a member of the task force, and the task force sees that our work, which now has been published into a book, which is also being launched today, supplements the work of the task force. So without taking much time, please let me now stop there and request you to join me in welcoming the Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, the chairperson of the Special Task Force, to make remarks. Justice Koome.
Thank you very much, my brother, Justice Katharina. The Honorable Mr. Justice William Ouko, the President of the Court of Appeal, who is present here today representing the Acting Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and President of the Supreme Court, the Honorable Mr. Simon Cherugoi, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, my brother Justice Kadurima, our very committed development partners, my brother Mr. Raibuta, who took so much time to go through these documents and gave them a legislative eye and developed a document that can be shared. Colleagues, members of the task force, stakeholders, our dear children, good evening. It is indeed a great day for us, the task force members, the NCAJ Special Task Force on Children Matters. And I wish to take this opportunity to ask all the members who are present, please be standing so that we can recognize you nicely. All the members of the task force, I know how many hours we spent. We spent so many hours dreaming, and today is a testament that our dreams were valid. Today, indeed, is another milestone when we are launching these publications that will go a long way to help in securing the promotion and protection of the rights of our children. I'll be very brief to tell you that in 2016, the National Council on the Administration of Justice, which in my own understanding is like a court user committee, because it comprises all the actors in the administration of justice. It is chaired by the Chief Justice. It has the Attorney General, the DPP, the IG, and all the people who care about the justice. They realize that our children are falling through the cracks. The children who come through the justice system are not getting justice. And you heard it from our two wonderful young gentlemen tell us the problem they encounter. Because in our country, we do not know how to deal with the children who are a little different. We only know to deal with the children who perform well, who behave well, who walk narrow and straight. If you fall through the cracks, we don't know how to deal with you. So this is a problem which was recognized by the NCAJ, and therefore the task force was put together. And I was given the privilege to chair the task force, where we were given 16 terms of reference to handle. And as I stand here this afternoon, in your presence and in the presence of about 50 or 60 other members who are watching us online, I am happy to report that the task force has delivered on all the 16 items we were asked to do. We were together in November when we launched the report on the state of children in the administration of justice. That is a very revealing report that shows the kind of justice that we administer to our children. And if you may ask me as a judge, I have no apology to confirm that it is indeed injustice. If you can have a child victim who has been defiled or violated in one form or the other, come to court for justice day in, day out, 3, 4, 5 years, that is not justice. So the report is there, it's online, and all of you can look at it. The other area that was identified is that the children of Kenya, and I'm very happy my brother is here, and he's so committed, the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Simon, is so committed since he became the Cabinet Secretary. He has really worked hard to move the bill forward, because the children of Kenya have never enjoyed the fruits of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which underscores the best interest of the child, protection of the child, provision for the child. You will be surprised that today, Kenya, the age of criminal responsibility is 8 years. And when Madam Florence spoke about the children in prison, in the Boston, she talked about 15 years to 17 years ago, up to 21 years. But we have other category of children in the other institutions, the remand homes, the probation schools, where we have children between the age of 8 and 14. When we visited those institutions and we met little boys of 9 years, 10 years, they hardly know themselves. You can imagine yourself when you are 8 or 9 years, or you can imagine your child if you're a parent, or like me, a grandchild, who is 9 years and is in the justice system and is in a rehabilitation hostel or in one of the Director of Children's Services remand homes. There are many, I think there are 39, and they all have children, and these are Kenyan children. This is what the bill, my colleagues, is talking about. We are trying to make sure the children of Kenya enjoy the fruits, the freedoms, the rights that are contained in the Constitution. It is more than 10 years. Other laws were aligned with the Constitution, but ask me why the children have not been taken care of, I have no answer. So we developed a bill, a very robust one, with ministry and all the stakeholders, including children. We went around this country and we handed over the bill to the minister, and I think he will speak to it because he is here, and I'm very, very grateful that finally we have a minister who cares about children. This is why we're sitting here. I've been with him, we've gone to talk to MPs with him, and for my very first time in so many years, and you know I'm not young, although I don't like saying my age, although for people, many people here know it, because we met more than 36 years ago. 36 years ago, I don't know how many of you were born. So when we went, this minister sat with us for the entire duration of time. The MPs were reviewing the bill because he is very, very keen. And he has been with them other meetings where I could not even go. So I know he is very, very committed. The children of this country are in good hands. My dear boys, don't worry. You have a great supporter and champion for your rights. So today, we are so grateful to JICA for supporting this training manual. What was realized by the task force is that no one organization, no matter how good you are, will protect and promote the rights of children. You need to work together. If I'm so good as a magistrate, the prosecutor must also be good, understanding who is a child. The police officer who brings the child also needs to understand who is a child and understand what is the best interest of the child. What does it mean? And we have simplified it in these manuals. We say, you look at that child the same way you look at your own child. What would you like to do to your child? That is exactly what you would do to that child in conflict with the law. And because we have worked with these great experts here in this room and elsewhere, we have learned a lot. And we have come together to develop this manual. And I particularly want to acknowledge the group, because not all of us went to those many meetings. I think they were in Machakos, those meetings. Were you in Machakos? Please stand up to recognize you. The people who worked on this manual, I know Justice Teresa Madeka was one of you. I know, I can see, I think, Mweni. Yes, Han. Yes, you are all there working on this great document. We are so, so grateful for the effort, commitment. I remember how you kept going back and forth. Sometimes you had no money because you know NCAJ, we have no money. We have just relied on support from our partners. So thank you very much. God bless you. We'll still continue calling on you as the book, the curriculum now gets hosted at the Judicial Training Institute. The Director of Training Institute is here, the Honorable Mr. Justice Kaburima. My brother is going to call on you to train trainers on the court users committees, the child court users committees, on how to best protect the interest of the child. I think it has been recognized that When a child is in conflict with the law or is a victim, it's because of a failure of a system. We have failed that child. So we should never blame the child, we should blame ourselves. So the police, you talked about the child protection unit, and I congratulate you so much because I think when we started, there were a few of them. I think there were like 5. And now we were told there are 40 child protection units in the country. Our desire is that in every police station, we will have a child protection unit. The same way you have a male-female cell, you will have a child protection unit if you are handling children. And we met the IG, we also met the CS, Macharia, and told them it is necessary. If any police station is handling a child, they must have a child protection unit. And don't now worry how to learn it. Here is a document, the standard operating procedure for you to learn the CPU. Everything you need to know about a child, it is in this manual. And then we also are talking about diversion because we have said these children should never be taken through the formal justice system unless it's really a matter of last resort. We need to process them away from that. And so there's a diversion toolkit, which is here. We also have practice direction on how the courts should run the children's court. And most exciting today also, and my brother has mentioned it, we will also be unveiling a wonderful book that has been written by one of us, Dr. Macharia. Please, can you be upstanding? We recognize you. Because she is also a dream come true. She is a miracle. She used to be a prison officer. She has worked through Rand Law, became a magistrate. She did her master's and did a PhD, and her research is the outcome of a book that we will be unveiling today, which is talking about children accompanying mothers who are imprisoned. You can imagine a child remaining in prison for 4 years. They have done nothing wrong. They just find themselves in that situation. And they have to live within those confines of the prison with the mother. So tell me what kind of a person or a human being they are going to turn out to be. So Dr. Macharia has written a book and a chapter on how the policy on children accompanying mothers should be implemented to protect the rights of those children who have had nothing to do with offenses or whatever is connected with the mother, how to handle that mother, how to ensure that the rights of the child are protected. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, all of you, for your support in this room. I'm very excited to see all of you. I can actually mention your names, but because of time. So you will allow me to invite our CS, Honorable Simon, to come and address us. Then we will be addressed by the President of the Court, who is only brief for the Chief Justice, and then we'll move to the next level of launching the material that is before us. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you, and we look forward to meeting in the field, implementing these wonderful publications.
I don't know whether you'll allow me to, now that everyone is masked.
Thank you very much, Justice Mother Koome, for saving me. And very happy to be here. The President of the Court of Appeal, holding brief for the Chief Justice, Honorable Mr. William Ouko, the Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commission, Josephine Gelt, the Chairperson of NCAJ Special Task Force on Children Matters, Honorable Lady Justice Mother Koome, the Director, Judiciary Training Institute, Honorable Mr. Justice Katharina Mnoti, Justice Teresa Madeka, we were with her last week in Naivasha, Country Director, International Development and Law Organization, Teresa Mukatsa, Chief of Children Protection, UNICEF, Kenya, Monica Sadvik, and I think we were with her also last week, Deputy Commissioner General, Kenya Prison Service, Madam Florence Omundi, the representative of the Director of Children's Services in my ministry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Or is it good evening? It gives me great pleasure to join you today as we launch the Child Care and Protection Officers Curriculum and Facilitators Manual and other documents on children in the justice system. Let me take this early opportunity to thank Lady Justice Mother Koome and her team for the big strides the task force has made in improving the justice system for children, and in particular, the key role the task force has continued to play in the review of the Children's Act 2001 and development of the Children's Bill 2020. This bill has great progressive provisions for children that include, but not limited to, promotion of alternative family care for children in need of care and protection, and to deter the committal to institution of care or rehabilitation unnecessarily. Review of the age of criminal responsibility from 8 years to 12 years in line with international practice. Alternatives to detention, such as provisions of bail and bond for children in line with Constitution, to name but a few. This bill is now before us being subjected. I know we changed our way of processing our decisions. We now have National Coordination Technical Committee that is handled by the PSS. So every item, every action, policy, the bills are processed at the technical level by the PSS. And thereafter is forwarded to NDICC, which is the Cabinet Subcommittee. Then it is taken now, and this is where a lot of work is done. Questions, challenges, interrogations, and discussions happen at these levels, including calling experts to give further review and clarifications. I want to confirm to you, the President of the High Court and the Supreme Court, the President of Court of Appeal and Justice Mother Koome, that we have completed. I have presented these documents, has gone through those stages. Now, what is awaited, as soon as we have our first full cabinet meeting, this is the agenda, and I'm 100% sure. I am 100% sure, because even during the only two people who don't sit in these committees is the President and the Deputy President. And they have been briefed at the technical and ministerial level. So they have made their input, and this will just be now almost a formality to conclude and pass to the Attorney General for onward transmission to Parliament. So I want to assure you, the day we have our first cabinet, full cabinet, this bill will be part of the news of that day. It will be part of the announcement, because this is not just an ordinary bill. This is a revolutionary bill. This is the bill of the future. This is the bill that talks about the face of our country, the future of our country, the heritage of our nation, our children. It talks of fostership, guardianship, child protection. It talks about adoption. It talks about child trafficking and even duties, responsibilities of children. We don't just talk about rights of children. We also deal with responsibilities of children so that we have a balanced person, somebody who doesn't just ask. We also have to prepare him for taking over. That child must be prepared in law and also in mentorship. At this stage, therefore, I will talk of 5 P's in child protection, and I will think there is additional 1, which makes them 6. The 5 P's in child protection, and I'm sorry where I come from, P and P is always a problem. The first one is prevention. The second one is paramountcy, that is paramount, highest rank or authority. Partnership, protection, parental responsibility, and provision. That is the 5. I've added 1, the last one, provision. And what are the child protection issues? In our ministry's view, this includes issues at birth registration and the right to identity, protection of children in armed conflict, and I think the Kenya police are doing a great job on this one. The sexual exploitation of children, trafficking and sale of children, harmful traditional practices, violence and neglect, alternative care, and juvenile. When you talk of sexual exploitation of children, in our ministry, we register institutions, child care institutions, and some good Samaritans have come to our country, applied for registration, and we give them the license because we do it in good faith. But we end up getting into problems where our children are exploited. And we are tightening that part of processing evaluation. And all these institutions now are subjected to continuous eligibility annually through licensing and inspection. This year, we have requested for additional funding, and the ministry, the cabinet secretary has been given further mandates in this bill to be able to ensure that these institutions are continuously inspected and checked to ensure the safety and welfare of our children. Then what is the difference between child protection and safeguarding? And I would say safeguarding is what we do to prevent harm, while children protection is the way in which we respond to harm. And I think the 3 speakers I had speak before me distinguish the 2 definitions. And this is how we need to go. So that everyone, every player, every user, or rather they use the word code users, or every stakeholder in child protection play their role. The way a police officer interacts with a child in conflict and how it processes that journey, if it is to prison, to juvenile homes, or even to probation, there is care, including the judicial system. The judges have also a role. So we all have a role. In the past, before this, the world has changed. We are now in a global village. In the village, those days, a child belonged to the society. And we were all mentored according to how our society stood up. So every person will take care of every child they meet on the road. They'll never, every parent, every elder will always watch out to your child, and I will also watch out to your child. This is not the case today. This is not the situation today. And that's why we have to come up with these laws. And I'm happy that reforms are happening across. From judiciary, there are reforms on children matters. In the executive, there are reforms on children matters. And I want to believe also in Parliament, when we engage them, there is passion, there is commitment, and there is direction in how we handle our children. So what are the aims of child protection? In our view, from our ministry perspective, is to ensure children are safe and we prevent them from suffering from further harm by supporting the strengths, addressing the vulnerabilities, risk factors, and help these children to meet their needs and promote the child welfare, health, and development. That is how we define child protection. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, children who interact with the justice system because they are either in conflict with the law, they are either victims or witnesses, or are parties to matters before the court. And I think Justice Mother Koome gave a case of a mother, or rather it was there was a lady, there was the commissioner gave a case of a mother who delivers in court, in prison. And this creates a situation which would require ourselves to address, because we are not imagining. These are realities. These are things that happen in our society today. And therefore, we must find mitigating measures. We must find solutions to such occurrence. It should not come now as a surprise or a problem. And I'm very happy that other than the Kenya Police, who have continued to develop CPUs, child protection units, we are now forming a partnership with 6 organizations. We are calling them the Joint Forces Alliance. This is Save the Children, Plan International, Action Aid, and all there are 5 in number, I can't remember the other 2, who have come to my ministry with that. We have had discussions, and we are working with the Kenya Police. And last 3 weeks ago, I commissioned a child protection unit in Kwale and Kilifi. And they have been total. We have a unit which separates girls and boys. They are separated from the normal cells of the police. They are outside the police station or within the compound, but separated from the core cells. And this has helped to manage the children who come into conflict. And their process, we have trained police officers to handle. So we have child protection officers in that station. And we have sensitized the whole of Kwale, where we have rampant and frequent child abuses, child issues in Kwale, Kilifi, and we are mapping out, based on our data, we are mapping out and prioritizing these counties. We also have in the Kakuma, where we have refugee children. All these are actions. The Joint Forces Alliance, those who were born in 1991, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, America formed the Joint Forces Alliance to manage the conflict then. We are equally, as a ministry, forming an alliance to fight any child abuse in this country, working with partners. We need to ensure cases involving children are handled expeditiously, professionally, and should therefore be the aim of all actors in the children justice process. The revised curriculum we are launching today targets at officers in Judiciary, Directorate of Children's Services, Probation and Aftercare Service, Kenya Prison Service, and the Office of Public Prosecutions, aims at ensuring that justice for children is delivered in a coordinated manner, taking into consideration the best interest of the child and the principle of do no harm. I think a number of you have been watching TV, working with UNICEF, our very big partner in child protection. We have come up, we last year launched Violence Against Children Survey. And we've come up with a slogan, Spot It, Stop It. And we are running that under the sponsorship of UNICEF. Last year, we also launched a street families survey. We carried out proper census on families and children in our streets. And our report is out. We have shared with the judiciary, we have shared with the parliament, and we have shared with almost everyone in the executive. We have 47,000 people living in our streets in Kenya. And the reason we are coming up with this survey is to find ways of managing. How do we handle? How do we fund them? We have programs like Inua Jamii currently run through my ministry by the government of Kenya. But numbers are, we want to do targeted, guided, statistical approach in managing our street children who are really exposed. And this way, these efforts and initiatives by the ministry is guided towards protection of our children. The continuous training of child justice actors cannot be overemphasized. All the child justice actors should ensure they prioritize training of their staff by the policy on mandatory continuous development program for child protection officers that we will be launching today. The staff should be knowledgeable and with appropriate skills and attitude in caring for rehabilitation of our children. I encourage child justice actors to embrace and implement both the policy and the curriculum effectively. High standards of service for children can be guaranteed by effective and efficient coordination of the child justice agencies. The National Council on Administration of Justice, NCAJ, is legally mandated to coordinate the justice system, of which the child justice is the subset. I urge the Council to therefore robustly undertake this role for a seamless justice chain for our children. The situation of child victims of crime in the justice system is a cause for concern. Delays in hearing and determining their matters is a double tragedy for them. They are not able to quickly get closure, as they have to remember the evidence ends constantly, leave the abuse that occurred to them heading to re-traumatization. For this reason, each child justice actor should undertake to understand the urgency of child matters and avoid either having a children enter the justice system or unnecessarily keep them in the system. Ladies and gentlemen, for many years, children in conflict with the law have often been remanded as their matters are handled by the courts. As a result, they end up missing out on education, family care, and generally on their childhood. I'm happy that the task force has recommended a different approach on this matter. The approach employed by the task force to embrace alternative dispute resolution mechanisms such as diversion is very commendable. It is my belief, therefore, that all the child justice actors will make use of the diversion toolkit we are launching today to ensure we give children in conflict with the law a second chance in life. We must all endeavor to see to it that there is non-victimization of children in conflict with the law, since the aim of child justice is focused on rehabilitation and reintegration into the communities and not punishment. It is important that all children in the justice system, whether in conflict with the law, victims, witnesses, or any other category, are treated as children and in the best interest of the child principle upheld as enshrined in the Constitution and the Children's Act. We are living in the information age, and it has been established that accurate information plays an important role in child protection. And since the media in Kenya is trusted source of information, it is imperative that the mainstream and social media take up their key role in child protection by ensuring dissemination of accurate and authenticated information concerning children. A lot of caution is required when reporting about children. Indeed, due to the vulnerable nature of our children, the law prescribes how the matter should be reported on by the media. My ministry will work with my counterpart, CS Musheru, the Ministry of ICT, and the task force to develop guidelines on reporting children matters. As I conclude, allow me to congratulate the chair of the task force and the entire task force, Japanese International Cooperation Agency, International Development Law Organization, IDLO, and UNICEF for supporting development of various documents that are aimed at the capacity building of child justice agencies. I appeal for more organizations to partner with my ministry and the task force in improving justice for children. So as I go down to sit before I invite the President of the Court of Appeal, I want to close by saying that the future of our country depends on what we do today. How we shape our society, how we form our society, how we drive our society. Kenya will rise and fall depending on how we manage ourselves. We will have a society, and we have received the baton from our forefathers, our parents, safe and secure. It is our duty, our responsibility to equally hand over the same baton to our children, our young people, safe and secure, so that as we retire, as we grow a gracefully age, we are happy and proud of the society that we have left behind. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure. It is now my singular pleasure and honor to invite the President of the Court of Appeal, the Honorable Mr. Justice William Ouko. Karibu. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Thank you, Waziri. My lady, I seek leave to remove my mask because I can't breathe. The Honorable Simon Chelugwe, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Labor and Social Protection, my lady, the Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, who chairs the Special Task Force on the Children Matter, with your entire team, my Lord, Mr. Justice Kathuriman Toinoti, a judge of the Court of Appeal, and also the director of the Judiciary Training Institute. Ms. Josephine Gold, Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commission. Teresa Mugeza, who joined us online, the Country Director, IDLO. Mr. Kamori Kasutoshi, the Chief Representative, JICA, Kenya. Monica Sandvik Good, Chief Child Protection, UNICEF. And I think Tommy Camp must have left. I recognize her, the legal advisor, U.S. Department of Justice. The honorable judges who are here, and I want specifically to appreciate and acknowledge the presence of my brother, Mr. Justice Laibuta. I'm not shy to call him that because equity deems as done that ought to have been done. He was appointed a judge of my court. The only thing left is him taking the oath. So, my Lord, I recognize you. Florence Emundi, the Deputy Director General of Kenya Prison Services, Mr. Suma, representing the Director of Children's Services, our children who are with us in this room today, distinguished guests. It is indeed my great pleasure and honor to join you here this afternoon as I represent the Acting Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and the President of the Supreme Court, Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu, who due to another conflicting official engagement was unable to be here herself. She has asked me to convey to you her gratitude to the chair first and foremost and the members of the Special Task Force, as well as all those who have made this occasion possible by offering their time, finances, and intellectual support. I want personally to thank the task force for the work that you have done to advance the rights of children across the country. The procedural instruments and guides we gather here today to launch is a demonstration of your commitment to the objectives of the child care and protection, as well as your concern for the well-being of our children. The choice of the Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome to lead the task force was not accidental. There couldn't have been a better choice. Her background and passion for matters of human rights and fundamental freedoms is in the public domain. And I've known Justice Koome for many years. If you remember, she said 36 years, and there were only 3 other people in this room who would know her age. I'm one of them. Mr. Justice Ntoinoti is another, and Mr. Justice Laibuta. The 4 of us sat in a classroom together from the university to the Kenya School of Law. And so we come a long way, and I know Justice Martha Koome is a very, very focused person. And I'm glad that under her stewardship, the task force has actively been involved in identifying and addressing gaps in the law and procedures relating to children. And the launch of these documents and tools today is clear testimony of this resolve. I'm therefore pleased to be counted among those who will be witnessing the launch at one go of 6 documents. Those documents have been identified and spoken to by those who have spoken ahead of me. Like Lady Justice Koome, another one of us, Dr. Alice W. Macharia, who is in this room, and may I ask her to stand once again. I met her for the first time when she came before the Judicial Service Commission, seeking a promotion to another level from where she is in the magistracy. I didn't know so much about her until this morning when I learned from my Lady Judge Koome of your resilience and determination to reach where you've reached in life, that you've risen through to achieve the highest level of academic qualification that some of us have not. I want to congratulate you for what you've done. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Right. Alice is a magistrate, a principal magistrate, recently promoted. Congratulations again. And she's based at the Judiciary Training Institute. She's also, like Judge Kome, known for her love for children, and she has recently published a book, Rights of the Child Mothers and Sentencing, the Case of Kenya. Alongside the 6 documents that we will be launching this afternoon, we shall also be launching her book. The need for the Child Care and Protection Officers, CCPO, training curriculum and manual is born out of the need to build the capacity of children justice officers by equipping them with the requisite skills to handle children matters effectively and to promote the use of alternative and non-custodial measures to rehabilitate them. On the other hand, the Diversion Toolkit for children practitioners is aimed at creating a platform and guiding the roadmap for practitioners to ensure that greater emphasis is placed on restoration, rehabilitation, and integration of child offenders, which in itself creates a win-win situation in order to balance the best interest of the child and, on the other hand, the needs of the society. Given the very delicate arena that is child care and protection in the justice sector, officers involved in the administration of justice and access to justice in children matters need to continuously develop their skills to enable them maintain the highest level of competence, hence the development of the policy on mandatory continuous professional development. The courts that are tasked with adjudicating children cases also have a responsibility in ensuring access to justice, promotion and protection of the rights of children, and ensuring fair and expeditious determination of proceedings involving children. In this regard, it is gratifying to note that the Special Task Force has prepared a practice directions relating to proceedings in the Children's Court, which will be also launched today to ensure that our courts attain international best standards while administering justice to children. In recognition of the pivotal role played by officers of the National Police Service in child care and protection, it was important also to develop the standard operating procedures for child protection units, CPUs, to ensure professional interaction and provision of protective services to vulnerable children. I'm aware that the task force has made recommendations for the repeal of the Children Act 2001, and I'm glad we have received assurance from the Cabinet Secretary that this is underway and that it's just a matter of time before this bill is enacted into law. But just as there is clamor today for constitutional amendment, one would have expected the same clamor or even a louder clamor for the repeal of the Children Act, which is now 20 years old since its passage. But let me remind the members of the task force that changing the law is not enough, as we were told by Mustafa. There are today gaps and challenges that have not, but can be addressed in the meantime. Child welfare services. We must focus on child welfare services by retooling them both with personnel and more expertise, so as to achieve the objectives of ensuring that all children receive the help and care they need at the right time. Child welfare services must also contribute to good formative conditions of a child. Rescue centers. I do not know how many of you have visited these centers. I personally haven't, but we hear very, very disturbing stories, very depressing stories of their condition. They are better than the homes where these children have been rescued, but they are not to the standard you'd require or expect a child to be kept. So the challenge is, and this is the task force, I know your term is ending, but I think it's important, just as we are expanding, and I'm glad the CS is here, we're expanding everything. Please, let's make the centers habitable for children that are rescued and kept there. But as a society, we must also address the rising cases of defilement. Defilement of children as young as 1 year. Defilement of children by their parents, their fathers, their relatives. It would appear that punitive laws that were passed seem not to be deterrent enough. And my challenge to our institute, the Training Institute, my challenge to scholars, my challenge to Dr. Macharia, let's conduct a study to understand why, even with the very stiff sentences, the number of cases of defilement seem to be going up. Let's find the cause of this and let's look for a solution to it. And we can tell you, those of us who sit in court, particularly from our own experience in the Court of Appeal, that out of 4 criminal appeals that we hear, when we hear criminal appeals, out of 4 criminal appeals, 3 invariably, if not all 4, are defilement. You hardly even get cases of rape anymore. So what is driving men to do these things? So let's have some study conducted so that we can address the root cause of this, not relying on those life sentences, 20 years in jail. There must be another route. Let me turn my attention now to the book by Dr. Macharia. And as you have heard from those who have spoken here, the Deputy Commissioner and the Lady Justice Martha Comey, that we have children who are being punished for crimes they have not committed. Children who find themselves born or taken to prisons by their mothers, innocent children. This is not only against or in violation of the Constitution, but also against the law and the interest of the child. Dr. Macharia, being a judicial officer and faced with these situations in her work, decided to carry out a research to examine the current sentencing practices in Kenya, balancing the child's rights while at the same time delivering proportionate sentences for the offending mothers. The research findings, which were initially submitted for her doctorate degree in law, obtained from King's College London, have been reproduced in a book published by Routledge Publishers in the UK. You will no doubt agree with me that the theme and the scope of the book resonates very well and focus of the task force on children matters, and hence its inclusion in the rich menu of publications we are launching this afternoon. Congratulations, Dr. Macharia. Congratulations to the task force for the great strides you have made in the child justice arena, and encourage you to go even further. The hard work that went into the development of these instruments is now over. The launch of the procedural documents today, however, heralds the next most critical part of this process: sensitization and training of the targeted audience. The Judiciary Training Institute will be very instrumental in partnering with the task force in realizing this objective. And that is, I believe, why That institute is represented here by none other than the director. I wish also to thank our partners, both state and non-state actors, who have continued to work with us, and they were here with us this morning. Your invaluable support and assistance is highly appreciated. My wish today, my wish for tomorrow, is that we as a country, with our partners, can have a constructive conversation and dialogue on how best we can realize and fully achieve the best interest of the child. As I conclude, may I take this opportunity to wish my sister, Lady Justice Martha Koome, and my brother, Mr. Justice Catherine Toinoti, wish them the very best for their aspirations to serve this country at another level in the judiciary. I wish you all the very best, and may God bless you. Perhaps we'll be led into what is done next. Maybe the director. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mr. William Justice Ouko. We also wish you two the best, very best in your endeavor. Thank you so much for those very encouraging remarks. Give our regards to the acting Chief Justice, and inform us that we all look forward to working together to move this project forward. And please, join me in terms of now getting the president to lead us in we call now Mr. William the president. So lead us in holding this issue. Assist us in launching the first two applications, starting with the child care and protection of self-healing program, the manual.
The Child Care and Protection Officers Training Program, together with the curriculum and guidelines, supported fully by JICA. Thank you very much. And the second set, the child operating procedures, the standard operating procedures for child protection units, practice directions relating to protection in court, in children's court, the policy on continuous professional development, Diversion Toolkit. I will request Justice Raguta also to join us, please, in this launch. Last but not least, we have Dr.
Iris Wambui Macharia's book, Mothers and Sentencing. The book itself is not yet here, but we expect it soon, but at least we have something to launch. Yeah, thank you so much. I think from our program now, I'm supposed to cut the ribbon, sir? Are we cutting the ribbon for the book? Okay, very good. Please. So I think now, thank you so much. I will hand over to Florence Mueni for the vote of thanks. Florence. Where is Florence? Oh, you're here. Oh, thank you, Florence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our chief guests, our partners, because of time, may I say all protocols observed. My name is Florence Mweni. I'm a probation officer, and I am a member of the National Implementation Team, the one that helped develop the Child Care and Protection Officers program. I just want to thank everybody for taking this opportunity to come and engage in an activity that involves children in the justice system. For those of us who work in the justice system, we know that sometimes we provide services to children, but we never have the time to really listen to them. So I am glad that we had this time and had some children talk to us and give us a bit of feedback about our services. So thank you so much, children, for coming. We also thank those who have worked with us in the development of these materials. They needed resources, they needed coordination. Like for example, when we were developing the CCPO, we needed to be somewhere where we are not going to court, where we are not writing reports, where we are not attending to any other matters. And therefore, we were supported greatly by the partners to be able to do that, especially JICA. And for that, we are grateful. We are grateful to the juvenile justice agencies, especially for their commitment and agreeing to come together so that we can develop a document, like Justice Madeka said, that brings all the officers together in one class. We have realized that if we want to create a child-friendly juvenile justice system, if we want to enhance therapeutic jurisprudence for children, then we have to work as a system. If we call ourselves a system, then we have to be connected to each other, just like a system is. And so our heads of agencies have allowed that to happen. And with that, we are grateful. And moving forward, we do hope that even as we implement this curriculum under the guidance of JTI, that it will help us to have that juvenile justice system, that children will give us feedback and say that I am a different person because I passed through the hands of the justice system, if they have to pass through the justice system in the first place. Thank you all so much for coming. And as I end, if I have not thanked you, please consider yourself thanked, those who are here and those who are not here. As I end, the children in probation were not able to join, but they have presented something in the form of calendars. So I want to ask my colleague, Joe, to give our guests those calendars. They are not your ordinary calendars. I want to show you one so that these calendars, you're able to reflect on them. We asked children in probation to tell us the experience of the justice system. What is it like for you to go through courts? What is it like for you to go through the police? What is it like for you to be in a Boston institution, in a rehabilitation school? And of course, if you want to know the mind of a child, ask them to draw. Use a child-friendly message. And so they drew and they wrote. And that was very powerful feedback to us. And we decided, instead of just keeping that information to ourselves, let us take some samples of that artwork and translate them into a calendar. From January to December of this year, 2021, as we make court dates, as we make those appointments, may we reflect on the thoughts and the feelings of children in the justice system about the services that we give them. As we make those decisions, may we reflect, may we listen to them through their powerful language of art. So receive that gift from the very heart of children who have passed through the justice system. So thank you very much, and I think my duty is done. I might as well end the program, I think, by saying that may the Lord bless us. As I said, the final prayer, may God with us, and may He guide our work as child care and protection officers. May He give us the wisdom that we need to serve children. Have a good evening, everyone, and be safe. Thank you very much.
Inform you that these publications will all be available immediately on the NCAJ website. So you can also download your copy there if you want a soft copy. Makofi kwa judge. Pamoja. Pamoja. Thank you very much for assisting in the moderation. So we will end with the word of prayer. And at this juncture, I ask Roslyn Kabata kindly close the meeting with a word of prayer. Thank you. Roslyn has been core and very useful to this particular task force. She is always supporting Judge every other moment. Thank you, Roslyn.
Thank you so much, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Justice Ouko, President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Justices, my senior colleague and partners. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I know there's a vote of thanks that has been given, but I also want to thank you so much for coming, especially the children who are guests today. And I hope everyone will go home safely. So let us pray. Dear God, we come before you at this time. We thank you so much for today. We thank you so much for this event. We thank you because you enabled us to be here today for a reason. We thank you for the service that we have been able to render to our children. And we thank you for the opportunity to be able to improve the justice system for children. As we look out for our children in the country, we pray that you may give us more commitment and more passion to serve them. And we pray that the documents we've launched today may help all the children in the country of Kenya and beyond. We thank you so much for this moment, for this venue, and for everyone who came today. We thank you for your grace and your mighty honor. In Jesus' name we do pray, believe and trusting. Amen.
Kongamano imeisha, kazi iendelea.